By 1945, the war was over, and the physicians who had been pressed into anesthesia service were coming home. They knew the hows of anesthesia, but not the whys. They needed the science and its application. They wanted the underpinnings of the specialty. Rovenstein became a teacher to a number of them, but not all, of course, would be able to go back to school full-time. A new idea was about to be born. It would be called the Postgraduate Assembly, the PGA. Returning by plane to New York City from a meeting in Chicago, Rovenstein gleaned an idea from an ophthalmologist with whom he was conversing. Rovenstein had been trained in the basic sciences and their application to the clinical setting, so the idea meshed with his own philosophical bent. The ophthalmologist described meetings of his own specialty, which pursued a single medical subject in depth. Rovenstein shared the idea with his residents, and there was common agreement that it would address the educational needs of the returning physician anesthetists. The first PGA was held in 1945, jointly with the annual meeting of the American Society of Anesthesiologists.
I was still in Army uniform. It was immediately after the cessation of World War II, as far as the European theater where I had been, and I was stationed at the time at I think Fletcher General Hospital in central Ohio, a little bit eastern part of Ohio, and I had opportunity to go to my first American anesthesia meeting. I had been to English ones at the Royal Society of Medicine during the previous year, but I'd never been to an American one, so I made the most of the opportunity. It was a memorable event because, as you can imagine, I was fairly young, and although I'd been in charge of anesthesia in one of our largest U.S. Army hospitals, about 2,000 beds, which was stationed in England, I still didn't know much about anesthesia, and I had not really identified in my own mind the leaders of our specialty at that point, so this was a major opportunity for me to become acquainted with some of these.
Three major figures of the American Society were prominent in the first PGA, assuring that this rival meeting would succeed. The venue was the Hotel Pennsylvania in New York City. The three giant anesthesiologists were Ralph M. Waters of Wisconsin, outgoing president of the ASA, John S. Lundy of the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota, incoming president of the ASA, and Emory Andrew Rovenstein, founding father and spirit of the PGA. Excitement, chaos, and success all played roles in the first PGA. Rovenstein's residents were largely responsible for putting it together. They helped design the meeting in advance and worked behind the scenes at the meeting. Later on, they would affectionately refer to their leader as Rovi, as they recalled their memories of the first PGA and of a great teacher friend. But always to his face, Rovenstein was respectfully called Chief.
Rovi was a man of vision. He was a very, very shy man socially, but medically, he was a man of vision. And he saw into the future as far as the PGA was concerned. But of course, we started on a shoestring. And it being Rovi's baby, his residents were involved. And I had some office in the PGA every year starting after the first year. But that office didn't involve grandiose titles. It involved going to 11th Street to our NYSSA office and cranking the addressograph and folding the notices and licking the envelopes. That was being involved at first. That was the only way we got going.
He's the kind of fellow that you always respected, kind of person you always respected, that you quickly developed a friendship, that he never assumed an air of superiority for what he knew, and yet he had a fabulous memory.
We met people like John Lundy, who were invited in to talk, and Ralph Tovell, and Paul Wood, and Buchanan, people like that who were here in New York City. And they were guest speakers.
The first PGA is important for a number of reasons. Utilization of a panel to explore the depth of a particular subject was a great success. New agents, like curare, were discussed in depth. In addition, the armed forces were well represented, presenting a panel on the management of severe chest injuries. And major manufacturers were present, ranging from the anesthesia machine company Forager had founded to the Novocal Chemical Company. While all of these meeting elements seem common today, it is important to remember that they were innovative in 1945. The first PGA was a pacesetter. Originally, Rosenstein had conceived of the PGA being held every second year, so the second meeting was held in 1947, this time in the Hotel New Yorker. It would continue to be held at the New Yorker until 1963. The second PGA continued to build the tradition of strong panel sessions, chaired by leaders in anesthesia research. Another innovation was added which was anachronistically ahead of its time. Medical motion pictures were shown at the Johnny Victor Theater of the Radio Corporation of America, RCA. The first two PGAs were also considered to be the annual meetings of the ASA, by this time called the American Society of Anesthesiologists. The second PGA was also the annual meeting of the newly organized New York State section of the ASA. The third PGA established the precedent of also being the occasion of the annual NYSSA meeting. Held just 1 year later in 1948, the program included a panel session on diagnostic and therapeutic block for the treatment of intractable pain. Chaired by James C. White and William H. Sweet, Harvard surgeons, this panel illustrated the PGA philosophy of utilizing the best experts for panels, regardless of specialty. The panel's prominence within the program also demonstrated the importance of pain management to Rosenstein and anesthesiology